In the farthest western lands, the Demon King lived in complete isolation in a vast forest. However, one day, he stumbled upon an unconscious human girl who seemed to be fleeing from something. He decided to protect her and bring her to live in his palace. What is the story behind this girl? And what is the tale of the Demon King with immense powers in dealing with his enemies? Follow the anime to the end to find out everything. The anime begins with the young girl running through the forest, escaping from a group of soldiers. After some time, as they continue to chase her, they suddenly stop. One of the soldiers warns them not to venture any further, because this area is very dangerous, as it is where the lair of the Demon Lord is located. He despises humans greatly, and rumors say that anyone who approaches the Demon King's throne is instantly killed. At this moment, two soldiers from another place arrive and inform them that there are eyewitnesses who have seen the evil woman. Everyone then proceeds to pursue this woman. Meanwhile, the hidden girl holds her breath, overwhelmed by fear and panic. She mutters an apology to someone named Natalia for leaving without informing her. However, we still do not know who Natalia is. While running, she falls into a large pit and sees a distant big house before losing consciousness completely. The scene then shifts to the next morning, where a young boy is reading a newspaper. The front page headline reports the disappearance of an evil woman from a neighboring country. The boy notices the trees swaying strangely and decides to go to that location to investigate. When he arrives, he finds some animals standing around as if they were gathered around something. But when they see him, they quickly flee. As he approaches, he discovers the unconscious escaped. The boy picks her up and wonders where this girl came from. Is she the infamous evil girl who fled? At that moment, there was a man lurking, and it appeared to be the other boy who seemed to be the Demon King. He quickly revealed himself and disappeared, only to reappear behind them. When one of the soldiers attempted to strike him with a sword, the Demon King vanished again, eluding the attack. Upon closer inspection, the Demon King noticed a symbol on the soldier, indicating that he was from the kingdom of Neroz. It seemed that they were royal guards working under the command of the royal family. The soldiers surrounded him, insisting that he hand over the girl, claiming that she was a dangerous criminal who had brought disgrace to their kingdom. The Demon King was surprised by the soldiers' assertion, as the girl did not seem threatening at all. Innocence radiated from her face. The leader of the guards then informed him that if he surrendered the girl without resistance, they would not harm him. However, if he refused, they would kill him on the spot. At this point, the Demon King vehemently refused to comply with their demands, stating that he would not surrender the girl no matter what. He believed that she was innocent and escaping from an unjust situation. When the soldier attempted to strike the Demon King, he swiftly evaded the blow and countered, knocking the soldier to the ground. In response, the other soldiers decided to attack him collectively, but the Demon King unleashed an advanced ability called the Icy Bind that incapacitated them all, freezing them in place. He then revealed his true identity, with half of his hair black and the other half white, leaving the leader of the soldiers to wonder if he was indeed the Demon King, who had been living in the forest all along. At that moment, he tells him, "No, you are mistaken. I am the great Demon King." He then attacks the soldiers and defeats them all. Afterward, we see him carrying the girl, and he tells the remaining soldier to explain what's happening. The soldier begins to stand up, and it appears that they are under some sort of magnetic sleep. And he says, "We searched the forest thoroughly, but the trail of the woman disappeared. So we concluded that a monster attacked her, and we decided to return to our homeland to report the matter." Then the soldiers are ordered to leave, and it's clear that their minds will soon be cleared of any memory of these events. The next day, we find the man with the girl, and it seems that he has treated her with various natural herbs and remedies. The girl wakes up in front of him, and she asks, "Who are you?" He offers her a drink and tells her to drink it as it will help her. Then he asks her why she lost consciousness. She explains that she lost her way in the middle of the forest and saw a broken object in the distance. She tried to reach it, but he tells her that her picture was in the newspaper and she is wanted. She reveals that she is Charlotte, the fiancée of the second prince of the kingdom of Neroz. However, she insists that the allegations in the newspaper are entirely untrue. He reassures her that he can detect lies by looking into someone's eyes and sees no trace of dishonesty in her eyes. This brings tears to Charlotte's eyes, and he asks her why she's crying. She explains that she's not injured but is grateful for being the first person to believe her. He then asks her to tell him the reason for her exile. Charlotte starts to speak and tells him that it all started suddenly when they were in the palace. This man, Cecil, began speaking about her, and they all started talking about her as well, saying that she is a noble lady engaged to the prince for years and that she seems to be his lover's child. Charlotte begins to advance, but this man tells her that her evil actions have been exposed, and she has no other way to defend herself. He continues, saying that no one doubted the words of Prince Cecil, and after all that, they will arrest her on charges of treason. He says our engagement will be canceled and the guards take her away. Then he bursts into a wicked laugh, and the guards come and take Charlotte away to prison. Afterwards, we see Charlotte in the prison crying and saying, "I won't do anything at all." Upon hearing her story, the man who rescued her, named Alan, tells her that it's evident that these charges were fabricated against her. Either the prince didn't want to marry her as the daughter of his lover, or there might be another woman involved. Charlotte responds, "But there's no need to listen to the gossip of someone like me. I appreciate your offer to help, but I won't trouble you any further. I should leave before someone finds me here." However, at this point, Alan asks her if she knows how to clean. He admits that he's not good at it, and he offers her a job as a live-in maid at his place. She would take care of household chores and would be provided with meals as well as snacks. There is an extra room available, so an additional person won't be a problem. Charlotte hesitates and expresses her concern about being a wanted criminal, fearing that she might bring trouble to Alan. In response, Alan reflects on his own life, mentioning that he has been living in isolation deep within the forest. He doesn't have to deal with others, so sheltering a fugitive contradicts his lifestyle. He then begins to share his own story with her, revealing that he too was betrayed in the past by someone who took advantage of him. He tells her that 3 years ago, he was invited to join a certain group seeking an exciting adventure. However, they used him to break a seal to steal a treasure they were searching for and abandoned him in front of a crowd of monsters. Their intention was to exploit him, and he suffered the same betrayal she did. Charlotte is surprised by his genuine reaction and says, "You believed my story without hesitation." Alan responds, "That's true. I live in seclusion deep within the forest, and I have no need to interact with others. So housing a fugitive is against my nature." He then continues to speak with her and says, "I think we have a lot in common." Charlotte thanks him but reiterates her concern about causing trouble. Alan, however, seems determined to help her despite the potential problems she may bring. Then she told him that she appreciates his concern, but she will cause him trouble, so she cannot accept his offer. Alan, in a clever move, makes her believe that he has placed a deadly curse on himself. He claims that this curse will not be lifted unless she agrees to work for him in his house. He gives her an ultimatum, stating that his heart will stop beating in 3 minutes if she doesn't agree. Charlotte is terrified by his words as he presents himself in a menacing manner, even though she knows he is a kind person. She is also afraid for his safety. Alan continues to speak to her in a frightening way, making her fear that an innocent person will die because of her. Charlotte is deeply distressed and scared. In the end, Charlotte agrees to work with him, and Alan's plan to get her to accept the job is successful in less than a minute. The next morning, we see Charlotte dressed in cleaning clothes after finishing her cleaning duties. She managed to clean the entire house to a pristine condition. Alan is astonished by the cleanliness of the house and can't believe that a noble lady like her is doing housework. He notices the calluses on her hands from her previous work as a maid and realizes that her noble title was merely a facade. Charlotte tells him that he deserves credit because he helped a lot with the housework. All she did was polish the floors, while he used magic to arrange everything. He also helped with the floor cleaning. Charlotte feels that her presence is unnecessary, but Alan assures her that it's essential as he is incapable of doing household chores on his own. He mentions that if left alone, he wouldn't even think about cleaning. Charlotte then asks him what he wants her to do now, and he says she can do whatever she likes until dinner time. She expresses concern about the possibility of stealing something from the house, but he assures her that there's no need to worry because he bought everything they needed during his shopping trip, and there's no money in the house. He tells her not to be concerned about it, as this is his initial investment in her. Then he tells her that she can read books from the library or work in the garden if she wishes. Charlotte enters the library with Alan and is amazed by what she sees. Alan tells her that he has some work to do, so he doesn't want her to disturb him. Charlotte leaves the library to let him work alone. Alan sits at his desk and contemplates how he can't ignore someone in trouble but he struggles with interacting with others. As the sun sets, Alan realizes it's time to light the lamps. He notices Charlotte in his room and is startled, asking her what she's doing there. She reminds him that he told her to do as she pleases. He's surprised but appreciates that she's taken the initiative. He reflects on her boredom as she has no hobbies due to her strict upbringing. He asks her about her happiest memory, and she recalls a moment from 2 months ago when her little sister Natalia brought her some fruit, even though it was slightly spoiled. She couldn't usually enjoy snacks, so it meant a lot to her. Alan's face appears unsettling, and Charlotte asks why he looks so scary. He responds that this is the face he was born with, and someone like him enjoys their time at the Magical Academy every day. He made his professors shed tears with his relentless questions and blew up classrooms with potion experiments. In his thoughts, he believes Charlotte should have the best moments of her life with him, even though she doesn't have hobbies or happy memories. He offers to give her an intensive course in all the mischief in this world, implying immoral and addictive pleasures. Charlotte is concerned about the cost, but Alan assures her that he sold his magical equipment for a large sum of money. He explains that by mischief, he means joy and fun, but he also hints at more questionable activities. He appreciates her honesty and innocence, which he finds rare in today's world, and he bets that she has never opposed the Duke's family before. Charlotte replied that they were kind enough to allow her to stay there, and then Alan said to her, "You will indulge in pleasures and turn into a monster that loses control of its instincts." Charlotte was very afraid, saying, "We shouldn't do bad things." He reassured her, "Don't worry. We won't do anything that violates the law. We will just indulge in mischief." Even good wives, strict teachers, and model religious men become obsessed with it. Then more cake, drinks, and sweets were brought before her. He told her to eat and drink everything delicious. She hesitated and said, "If I eat sweets, it will disrupt my diet." Alan Sand thought that they didn't feed her well at the Duke's house, and it was clear that they treated her as a servant despite the facade of being part of the family. Alan Sand then presented her with a piece of the most popular cake on the store's menu. Charlotte told him that she couldn't eat cake for dinner and couldn't repay him more than she already owed him. Alan Sand said it was a beautiful cake and its maker would be sad if she didn't eat it, so she should obey orders. He insisted that today, her first task was to fill her stomach with all this cake. He held the fork in her hand for her to eat, but he was very hesitant. Alan Sand told her that if she intended to resist more, he would cast the deadly curse on himself again. Charlotte told him that she had asked him to take better care of himself, but it was okay. She would eat it gratefully. He told her that this was what she should have done from the beginning without discussion. Then Charlotte thanked him for the delicious food and said, "You go first, Alan Sand, and I will eat the rest." He told her that he didn't like sweets at all, and she was surprised by that, and that he had bought all these sweets for her alone. He had to earn a lot of money for that, so he told her that he had done it because he thought it would make her happy. Charlotte felt very embarrassed and her face turned red. Alan asked her what was wrong, whether she also hated sweets. She told him she loved them, not wanting to hurt his feelings, but deep down, she didn't want to eat them. He instructed her to start eating now. She began eating the sweets, saying they were very delicious. Suddenly, tears welled up in her eyes. Alan was puzzled by this and asked if she didn't like the taste. She reassured him that it wasn't about that, but that someone doing something like this for her made her feel overwhelmed with emotion. At that moment, the fork slipped from her hand and tears flowed from her eyes. She exclaimed, "Is it right for someone like me to feel happy?" Alan wiped away her tears, telling her to stop uttering nonsense and not make him laugh. He said it was just the beginning, and from now on, he would teach her everything about mischief in the world. Charlotte stopped crying and asked him why he treated a stranger so kindly. He admitted he didn't know the reason, but promised to continue doing it as long as she was with him. She thanked him for his kindness and began to laugh because she found this person to be very kind, but also extremely strange. Then Alan offered her more sweets. She told him she couldn't eat that much. She asked if he wanted some, but he reminded her that he had previously told her he didn't like sweets. She was saddened by this, so he said he didn't want it to go to waste and he would have some with her. She assured him that it would be the most enjoyable if they ate it together. Alan started eating the sweets and commented that they weren't bad. He also fed her some, and she was extremely shy. She told him that they were very delicious, which made him smile. In his thoughts, he said he hated being social, but he believed he would try. As they walked down the street, They notice a man sitting in a wheelchair with wind magic. Iruka rushes to him and starts examining his equipment, showing great interest. Ellen comments the equipment enthusiast has appeared. He suggests to Charlotte, let's leave her, but Iruka begins questioning the man about the chair he's sitting in. The boy proudly reveals that he made it, which impresses Iruka. Later, Charlotte and Ellen find themselves in a jewelry store. Charlotte asks Ellen, "Are you looking for jewelry?" He replies, "I noticed something." He then selects a beautiful necklace and says, "It's the same color as your..." He buys it for her, but when he hands the shop owner the currency, they discover it's a gold coin instead of silver. Charlotte comments that it's too much, but Ellen insists she keeps the rest. He explains that his policy is to pay a fair price for quality work. Ellen then places the necklace in Charlotte's hair, and she looks incredibly beautiful with it. She expresses her happiness, and Ellen feels a strange emotion within him. Meanwhile, a man bumps into Charlotte from behind and tells her to watch where she's going, claiming to be a member of the Genkutsu group. Ellen informs the man that they don't know who Charlotte is. He suggests peacefully resolving the issue, which greatly angers the two men. They accuse him of playing around with them and decide to take action. Ellen becomes angry and tells them they're going to regret it. Ellen recalls Charlotte's words about not arguing again and changes his approach. He says, "I see that my companion has caused you trouble. I apologize on her behalf." The man says they will forgive them, but with one condition. They request Charlotte's company for one night, viewing her as extremely promiscuous. They begin to approach her, promising to buy her expensive jewelry instead. This infuriates Ellen, and he breaks the man's hand. His friend pulls out a fiery magical sword and attacks Ellen, but Ellen uses ice magic to stop the sword and shatters it. He delivers a powerful punch that knocks one of the men to the ground and declares that if he touches his dear Charlotte with his corrupted hands, he will crush them until nothing remains. Everyone around them is amazed by his incredible strength and starts applauding. Ellen then apologizes to Charlotte for breaking his promise not to fight, but she holds his hand and reassures him that she doesn't like violence, but she knows he was trying to help her. She also tells him she's not afraid of him. Ellen reflects that initially he thought Charlotte would hate him and leave immediately, but now he's relieved to know that she doesn't hate him. He believes this is the change Iruka talked about, and mentions that he's losing his focus, realizing he's becoming addicted to teaching her how to be a rebel. Meanwhile, Iruka watches them and thinks she might have lost the competition for teaching Charlotte about love and romance to her brother. However, they are approached by a sinister giant stone creature who is incredibly powerful. This giant starts talking and asks Ellen who he is and what he wants, mentioning that he heard Ellen faced his men. This is where the third episode ends. Stay tuned for more to come. The episode begins with Elaine checking on Charlotte's safety with the weaklings. A police officer speaks to her, saying, "You are very strong, Mr. Elaine. You are amazing." Elaine wonders what to do with the thieves. He contemplates whether they should hand them over to the police, but in reality, he had planned to throw them into the sea. However, Charlotte intervenes and prevents him from doing so. As they discuss the situation, a giant stone-like person, an apparent powerful beast, appears behind Elaine. It is clear that these men are his followers. This monster starts speaking and tells Elaine, "It seems you've taken care of my men. I will teach you a lesson you won't forget." Elaine remains calm and says, "I've remembered something about this matter. The gang mentioned a leader of the cave guild specifically. Are you that person?" Charlotte is afraid and holds onto Elaine's hand from behind, but he reassures her that everything is fine. Elaine then looks at the face of this stone-like monster and recalls a person named Megas. He says, "Is that really you, Megas?" He is surprised to see that it is indeed him and asks if he has been well in the past 7 years. However, the monster shouts at him and says, "Stop acting like we know each other," and launches an attack. Elaine manages to dodge his strike and says, "This is your habit. You have difficulty remembering beings outside your kind." The monster tells Elaine not to act as if he has seen his face before and attacks him again. Elaine responds by saying, "I am Elaine Crawford from the Academy of Athens for Magic." Upon hearing this, the stone-like monster is shocked and cannot move his hands. He then kneels and apologizes, saying, "I offer you my complete apology for not recognizing you, the great Demon King. Please forgive my lack of respect. I beg you to pardon me." When his followers witness this, they express their confusion and question why their leader is speaking like this, as they are sure he can easily crush Elaine. But Elaine tells them to be silent, calling them fools and warning them not to provoke him any further. He proceeds to strike them to prevent them from speaking. In the meantime, Charlotte is bewildered by all that is happening. But Erica speaks up and says, "Didn't our big brother tell you? Our father is the director of the most prestigious magic academy in this country. It's the Academy of Athens for Magic. It's a renowned academy that prides itself on its traditions. They say that once you graduate from this academy, your future is full of opportunities, and students from all over the world flock to this academy to enhance their magical and martial skills." Erica continues to speak and reveals that their brother graduated from the academy when he was just 12 years old, becoming the youngest graduate in its history. He was a prodigious boy who later became a teacher at the academy. Charlotte is shocked by this revelation and asks Elaine if he had also been informed about this. Elaine responds, "No, he didn't tell me anything like this." Then she asks Elaine, "So, does this mean you registered as a professor at the academy when you were 12? He confirms this and explains that he eventually stopped working as a teacher after reaching the age of 18. He loved the job to some extent, but couldn't continue due to some disciplinary issues. Charlotte inquires further, asking why he stopped teaching, to which Elaine replies, "I stopped because I used to discipline the unruly students by instilling good values in them. They didn't appreciate my approach, and they complained about my behavior during a faculty meeting. Furthermore, I also had a history of physically confronting the teachers." Then, Elaine adds that even their father couldn't continue covering for him after that incident, which led to his removal from teaching. As the conversation continues, Elaine speaks with Megas, the stone-like monster, and mentions, "But you haven't changed at all. This reminds me of the first time I became your teacher." He recalls saying similar words when he was 14 years old. Megas, holding him with one hand, had warned him that he could send troublemakers like Elaine to the other world with just a breath. Megas now, as the stone-like monster, pleads, "Please forgive me, great demon king." This title surprises Charlotte, but Elaine clarifies that it's just a title. He says, "It's been a long time since I was last called the great demon king." Megas explains, "I didn't mean to cause you trouble. I was ignorant of your presence in this city." Elaine reassures him that he wasn't bothered at all, but mentions that the person he harmed was Charlotte, who means everything to him, in the world of Demon King, where the characters are embarking on a beautiful journey through the forests, lands, and regions, particularly in the region known as Unaha. Uno is located in the northeastern direction of the Demon King's palace, approximately a 3-hour carriage ride away. Charlotte was thrilled about this day as the weather was beautiful. While we see Yen, he is clasping his hands together in perfect harmony as he is on this journey to find himself. Along the way, they spot two individuals riding horses from a distance, but their identities remain unknown. The scene shifts to the evening, with Yen reading a book and Charlotte stands before him, having just finished reading her book, which taught her a lot about this place. Yen advises her that reading is very useful, but you must pay attention and stay focused on the important events. At this time, Charlotte sits beside him and tells him that the book mentioned the school that Yin and Araxon belong to, the Athenaeum of Deceptive Magic. It is a massive school that gathers many skilled students and professors. Under a parasol, Charlotte flips through the book, looking for another place they can visit during their high school trip. She asks Yen if he will leave her, to which Yen replies that her request will be granted, but she needs to prepare and pack during this journey. Charlotte is thankful for his understanding, as she knows that taking her on a long trip would be costly. Yin assures her that she doesn't need to hesitate, and she should tell him what's on her mind. He's happy to spend time with her and wants her to experience important and valuable experiences. Yen has decided to take her on a journey, and he asks if she will be happy if he does. Charlotte blushes and admits that she would be very happy. Yen is excited about the trip and wants her to join him in exploring all the places where they can enjoy local cuisine, visit major tourist attractions, and relax in hot springs. He holds her face and asks her again, "Where do you want to go, Charlotte?" She hesitates, not wanting to reveal her destination as she is quite stubborn. At that moment, Yen decided to resort to another solution. He would cast a death curse on himself and die in 3 days. Charlotte was shocked by his words and deeply concerned for him. Just then, a stubborn green-haired girl arrived and greeted them. When Yen asked her what she wanted, she told them that she had come here bearing a special gift for them. She handed them a white envelope and explained that it was a trip to the Unawa region for 2 people. In the morning, Yen and Charlotte began their journey in a car, surrounded by beautiful forests and amazing scenery. Charlotte started chatting with Yen, explaining how she had once hidden in a horse-drawn carriage when she was being pursued, but she didn't get to enjoy the view back then as she was terrified and the place wasn't safe. Yen reassured her that she was safe now and should relax and put those thoughts behind her. Charlotte thanked Yen for his concern, and she asked him if he wouldn't mind her company, wondering if he should have asked Eraxon instead. Yen replied that Eraxon was busy with some tasks in the kingdom of Neraz in the east. At that moment, the green-haired girl, along with Eraxon, rode horses behind them. It appeared they had planned this journey to the hot spring to draw closer to each other. The green-haired girl, who Charlotte called Cat Girl, explained that she had taken a paid day off for this, determined to have a beautiful day and see them getting closer to each other. The scene shifted back to Yen, who suddenly felt a shiver but couldn't pinpoint the reason for it. As Charlotte looked out of the carriage window, she saw that they were approaching the hotel mentioned in the book she had read the night before. It was the most famous inn in the Unoa region, a 3-star resort with a hot spring. They were also known for various services, from food to massages, and had many loyal customers. Yen asked if this was the most intriguing hotel for her. Blushing, Charlotte confirmed it was, but Yen noticed she was lying. He confronted her, and Charlotte was taken aback because he saw through her lie. She was surprised that he knew she was lying. Yen continued to observe her, sensing that something was amiss. Then Alan continued to search the book for the hotel that had impressed Charlotte the most. He didn't know if it was on an isolated island or not. Charlotte, with great shyness, asked him to stop his investigation, as she was content with the hot spring. However, Alan couldn't stop thinking about it. He wanted to know the place that made Charlotte so embarrassed in this way. She told him that the place she wanted to go was a place where only children wanted to go. Alan understood her words, and this shortened the way for him. He kept thinking for a while and then told her that it was wonderful to do things she couldn't do during her childhood. This also falls under the mischievous category. He assured her that he would never make fun of her when he heard the place she wanted to go because it was childish. She could tell him anything she wanted, and he would accompany her to the place. They arrived at the hotel, and Charlotte was greatly impressed by its beauty and grandeur. The receptionist welcomed them at the Unaha resort. Alan told her his name, and she informed them that their room was ready. If he wanted her to guide them there, Alan agreed to it. Then he asked her if the hot spring was open, and she replied that it was, and it wasn't crowded at the moment. Alan requested that they bathe in the hot spring first, and Charlotte got very excited about it. The receptionist then guided them to the main bathhouse of the hot spring and informed them that they were very happy because they were going to spend their honeymoon there. This shocked both Alan and Charlotte. Then Alan told her that they were not married at all and had no relationship with each other. He asked her why she thought so. She replied that the tickets they had were a package for lovers and couples, which made Alan realize that Masha had deceived them as she had looked strangely happy. Next, we see Aruka and Mizun at the same hotel, but they are in hiding because they will never allow this trip to end normally. It's a perfect plan for the Lord of Demons. Aruka waits to see what the Lord of Demons will do. We then return to the receptionist, who tells Alan that he can change the package if it doesn't suit him. However, this is the most luxurious package they have, so it will likely appeal to his companion. In this case, Alan agrees to take the package for lovers and couples. Then they walked through the hotel, and the receptionist brought them the complimentary welcome drink that the hotel offered. Alan asked why they poured it into a single glass, and the receptionist explained that it was part of the lovers and couples package, making Charlotte extremely embarrassed. Iruka, who watched them from a distance, was happy that her brother would share the drink with Charlotte and act like a couple. The Demon King, when he and Charlotte are heading to the magical animal park in Uno. He tells her that this place is very beautiful and that he has always dreamed of visiting it. They then see these massive and majestic animals, including magical dolphins and some one-legged birds. Afterward, Charlotte talks to Yen, being very shy because she doesn't want to upset him and wants him to be happy in his true nature. Yen reassures her that it's okay, and he will be very happy when she is happy. Charlotte then spots a small creature in the picture and points at it, still very shy because she wants to go there but can't bring herself to speak. Yen takes the brochure from her and understands that she wants to go there. She tells him that she has always loved this place when she was a child. Yen tells her that it's okay, and they should enjoy their time to the fullest like two little children, without caring about what others think. Yen goes to buy her some things, but she calls him and tells him that she didn't ask for anything. In this case, he gets very angry and threatens to use the death curse on her. She's very afraid and agrees to buy some things like the hairpins she now holds in her hand. From Yen's perspective, she told him that they are hairpins and she will take two so they can wear them together. At this moment, Yen's face turns red because he's a man, and how can he wear women's accessories? Charlotte is very saddened and tells him that in this case it will upset her because he just told her a while ago that they would do anything to return to their childhood state, as if they were children. At this time, Yen didn't hesitate and handed over two metal pieces to the vendor to buy those items. Then, the scene shifted to a giant man accompanied by some animals, which appeared to be wild wolves. They seemed to be preparing for a fight, but we still didn't know much about them. The scene then switched back to Charlotte and Yen, who were wearing their masks and strolling in the garden. They arrived at a place filled with rabbits and sheep. When Yen saw a sign that mentioned water hogs, he was shocked because these were extremely fierce magical creatures capable of destroying a whole mountain when hungry. At that moment, a girl with large ears approached him and assured him that these creatures were currently resting deep in the forest and posed no threat. Yen was relieved and thanked her for her concern. When he turned to Charlotte, he was surprised to see her looking very angry and speaking in strange and incomprehensible words. He even thought she might have gone insane. He quickly ran to check on her, but she was talking rapidly, and her expressions were odd to the point that Yen thought she might be losing her mind. Then, she thanked Yen for being with her and promised to fulfill all his requests. Yen wiped her tears and realized that she was happy because she could play with the small animals. When Yen learned how much Charlotte loved animals, he went to talk to two rabbits, but they were very surprised because he was speaking the language of magical beings. Yen told them he had a basic knowledge of the language of magical creatures and asked how they could help him as humans. The rabbits agreed to play with Charlotte in exchange for their favorite food. Yen then called Charlotte, but to his surprise, there were animals all around her, and they had all taken a liking to her. They approached her, and everyone watched in amazement, wondering who this girl was who had gained such popularity among magical beings. The scene then switched back to Charlotte and Yen sitting together. Charlotte told him she had a great time and was very happy. Then all the animals gathered around her again, and she had become their friend very easily, even though she didn't understand what they were saying. When Yen translated their words, he realized that they were very jealous of Charlotte. Yen was quite surprised, but kept his thoughts to himself for a moment. He remembered seeing a similar situation when he found the girl in a state of unconsciousness with some animals beside her. Then Yen stood up, wanting to tell her something. He explained to Charlotte that there were many skills, including magic and other abilities, and that some people use their talents to deceive others. However, he clarified that he never deceived people and was always ready to help them in any way he could. He demonstrated his skill by conjuring a large crystal and using non-verbal communication, which was considered a high-level skill. He then mentioned that Charlotte had a great talent as an animal tamer, allowing her to handle magical creatures effortlessly with just a little training. Yen remembered when he was in the village, wondering how Charlotte had become so popular with the city. He realized that magical creature tamers like her could even tame high-level beings like the fenrir. Lost in his thoughts, the red-haired girl with the large ears approached him in a hurry, her face showing great tension. She had seen them earlier with the magical creatures and thought they were renowned magical creature tamers. At this moment, Yen looked at her and asked, "What's the matter, young lady? Has something happened?" The girl took Yen's hand and asked for his help because they didn't know what they should do now. The scene then shifted to the two of them inside a large building where some people were present. A man in a white robe appeared, and he seemed puzzled by Yen and Charlotte's presence, as they looked quite young. When he focused on Yen again, he was quite amazed and said, "Could it be that you're a member of the Corford family?" Yen confirmed that it was true, and the man asked if they had met before. Yen recalled attending an open lecture at the Athenian Academy of Magic, and the other members were surprised to hear that he was indeed a member of the important Corford family. The man introduced himself as the director of the magical garden and requested Yen's assistance. When Yen inquired about the matter, the man led him to a large area within the garden containing some formidable magical creatures. Then we see the furious fenrir heavily wounded and seemingly separated from its family due to illegal hunting. This serious injury was inflicted on it by an illegal poacher. Yen thought about how magical creatures like the fenrir were threatened with extinction, and anyone caught harming them was subject to severe punishment, including imprisonment. Yet, the hunting continued because their fur and bones were used in the creation of magical equipment and weapons. The director explained that this was the first time they had managed to capture a fenrir, but nobody could communicate with it. This made it difficult to approach the creature to treat its injuries. At this moment, the fenrir refused to listen to Yen, and the director informed him that it had been in this state since it arrived. It was malnourished, and they couldn't do anything for it at the moment. Yen then asked if they had experienced animal tamers on their staff who could deal with such a beast, and the director replied that they lacked skilled tamers to handle this particular creature. Yen decided to do whatever he could to help the fenrir. Just then, an employee approached them and informed them of a problem. The fenrir's mother was heading towards them, and everyone was afraid because they had used a trace removal spell when they found the injured fenrir. It was impossible for her to know their location, unless she was a high-level being. She had been present for more than a century. Yen reflected that the fenrir was not just known for its rarity, but also for its tremendous power. For a fenrir like her, over a century of age, eradicating the entire city would be effortless. He also considered the idea of reuniting the fenrir with its son, but realized that they were merely kidnappers in her eyes. The employee informed Yen that they had not yet treated the fenrir's injuries, and releasing it in its current condition was highly dangerous. They were also deeply concerned about the mother's reaction when she saw her son in such a state. Yen told them that he had a single solution, which was to go and speak with the mother to gain her understanding. However, the other tamers were extremely frightened by his suggestion, as it was not an easy task. Yen was determined to do it himself. Alan responded to them, reassuring them not to worry, as this was his expertise. He then asked everyone to evacuate the guests from the park as a precaution. They all obeyed and went to do so. Alan asked Charlotte to accompany them, but she refused, reminding him that she had previously mentioned that she might have a talent for taming magical creatures. However, Alan refused to let her join in this dangerous battle. She insisted, unable to stand idly by without doing anything, and claimed she would escape if she felt in danger. Then she asked him to speak to the little fenrir, and the park manager and the employee agreed. Alan reflected on how in the past, if he had rejected her request, she would have backed down from taming the park's animals. When he first met her, she was more like a doll, but now she was willing to fight for someone else. He agreed to let her have her way so that the little fenrir could receive the treatment needed for recovery. Alan then spoke to the park manager, asking him to allow Charlotte to communicate with the little fenrir since she possessed the talent for taming magical creatures. The manager agreed, as there was no other choice for them anyway. Now, for the first time, Alan and his friend Charlotte cooperated in a mission. Charlotte went to the little fenrir, and Alan went to stop its mother, albeit reluctantly. After that, we moved to Masha and Erica at the hotel by the hot spring, enjoying the beautiful and serene atmosphere. Suddenly, a security announcement warns everyone in the bathhouse that a fenrir is approaching, urging them to evacuate and go to a safe place immediately. Erica is upset that this will ruin their vacation, but Masha reassures her that the Lord of Demons is on their side, so they are safe now. Masha is not finished with her words when Alan appears from behind, which was quite expected that they would be here. He tells the girls that he knows they were following them, but this is perfect because he wants to help them now. Next, we move to a large group of fenrirs heading angrily towards the park. Alan stands above to watch them, as it is believed that seeing fenrirs brings good luck. If that is true, he must be extraordinary now. After a moment of contemplation, he decides to create a barrier around the resort since he can do so, which will protect everyone inside Unoa Resort. This will also buy some time for Charlotte to finish convincing the little fenrir. He then uses his ice magic to immobilize the fenrirs, keeping them suspended for a while. While doing so, he wonders about the small fenrir's father who is with them. Suddenly, the ground splits, and the mother of the little fenrir appears. Alan realizes that this is the mother and tries to avoid being eaten by her. He manages to escape her attack with his magical defense in the nick of time. He then uses his magic to temporarily immobilize her and attempts to communicate with her. But she refuses to listen and tries to strike him in any way possible, destroying anything in her path. Alan falls to the ground, not knowing what to do, but he has no choice but to resort to this. Suddenly, a magical creature appears to him and tells him that if he kills the little fenrir, it will never reunite with its mother, which would greatly sadden her. Alan then learns that this creature is a water hog from the abyss, which is the name of their kind. The creature continues to speak and reveals its name, Gosetsu. Alan is surprised by this encounter and asks Gosetsu what he wants from him. Gosetsu explains that his goal is to save the lady Alan has been forced to stay by, but Alan doesn't understand what he means. Gosetsu shares a brief story with him, stating that after sneaking out of the magical garden and exploring various places, he met Charlotte. He realized that he must do anything for her but didn't know how to save her. He appeared when Alan rescued her, as he had uncovered the false rumors about Charlotte and found it impossible for that beautiful lady to be an evil woman. She grew more determined after observing her life afterward and realizing that Alan had to be eliminated to protect Charlotte. He launches a powerful fireball attack at Alan, who is surprised by its strength, but he expected such power from a water hog from the abyss. The water hog tries to pounce on him, telling Alan that he's wasting his time with Charlotte without trying to save her. Alan evades the attack and strikes the water hog with a powerful fireball. They both descend below to fight away from the fenrirs. Suddenly, the water hog attempts to unleash his sealed power to defeat Alan and then destroy the kingdom of Neros. Alan asks if this will make Charlotte happy, and the water hog informs him that he will turn the land to ashes, showing heaps of corpses and rivers of blood. Alan cannot bring himself to intervene, and suddenly, the sealed power within the water hog emerges. He tells the fenrirs that he took their offspring, and Alan realizes that he was the one behind the manipulation of the fenrirs. Alan is unable to fight the water hog and the fenrir army, since even facing them at full strength may not guarantee his safety. Suddenly, flying creatures appear, and then Charlotte arrives with all the animals she tamed, the ones she loved. She managed to treat the little fenrir and convince it to accept treatment. Alan is astonished by what she has done and expresses his joy, telling Charlotte that she has become someone he can rely on. Charlotte is thrilled by this, and he asks her what they will do with the other animals. She explains that she tried to catch up with him, but they expressed concern about her. Alan asks if she understands their language, and Charlotte replies that it's not perfect, but she understands what they are trying to say. In his thoughts, Alan reflects on how it took him half a year to master the initial language of magical creatures and receive proper training. He realizes that Charlotte has become a powerful magical creature tamer, enough to stand by his side. He asks her if she knows what is happening between the little fenrir and its mother. Charlotte tells him that she does know what's going on between them. The fenrir's father believed that he was a hunter and had lied to her. He was the sinister water hog who had manipulated her with that falsehood. Then the water hog asks Charlotte to leave that man immediately and accompany him because that man will bring her a lot of sorrow. She had to flee her homeland, and instead of seeking revenge for her, he is leading her down the path of corruption. Charlotte tells him that it's not true. Alan San has given her a peaceful life without fearing anything, and she's finally able to live thanks to him. She won't forgive him for speaking ill of him. This infuriates the water hog, and he tells her that he'll be able to save her properly, and it seems he might have to take her by force. Alan requests Charlotte to step back, surprising the water hog. He then launches an attack on Alan with several fireballs, but Alan manages to evade them. The water hog tells him that he considered invading her land multiple times, but waited for her to decide what she wanted. Her way would only cause harm to Charlotte. They both take to the air and engage in a powerful battle, but Alan is much stronger. He delivers a powerful blow that sends the water hog crashing to the ground, defeating him. Alan believes that the blow was too powerful and uses healing magic on the water hog to help him regain consciousness. The water hog then apologizes for all the trouble he caused. On another note, the scene transitions to the employee who thanks both of them for saving the fenrir creature. She tells them they did it, but the credit goes to her. Charlotte feels embarrassed and explains that it was the park employees who treated the fenrir's injuries, not she only spoke to the little one. Alan tells her that if she hadn't done that, things wouldn't have gone well, so she should be proud of herself. The employee thanks Charlotte, and Charlotte tells her they can now see the fenrirs running around happily, which Alan is proud of as well. The employee then informs them that their carriage is ready. Charlotte thanks Alan for everything. Suddenly, the fenrir creatures approach, and the employee is surprised to see them up close for the first time in 200 years. The little fenrir, the one Charlotte spoke to before, approaches Charlotte to bid them farewell. In a hushed tone, Charlotte tells Aelin that she almost forgot about the hunters who injured the fenrirs. The employee reassures them that they've captured the hunters, so there's no need to worry. Suddenly, we see Erica and Masha at the resort, and Charlotte asks them to capture the hunters. Charlotte is thrilled but not surprised. To see them here, the two girls are shocked and unable to respond, and Alan reveals the faces of some of the hunters. They react with anger and threaten to make them pay, saying they'll capture them next time and sell them at a high price. Alan becomes angry with them because they show no remorse for their actions. Suddenly, the fenrir creatures appear with intense anger and a desire to attack the hunters. However, Alan tells them not to worry because he has boosted their defense with his magic. The fenrir creatures have become playful, running around and attacking the hunters. Everyone is shocked by the scene. And with that, our episode today comes to an end. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes. The protagonist, Yen, wants to accompany Charlotte to her home. He seeks permission from Charlotte's mother, who agrees. The brown-haired girl then asks Yen if they are from the Jural region, because Yen can return there within just an hour, similar to a family visit where he can go and come back anytime. Yen then speaks to a wolf and asks him to be a companion for Charlotte in his absence. The wolf has no objections and sees it as a good opportunity to have more members in the family. Charlotte is surprised by Yen's words as he includes her in the family as if she were his wife. At that moment, Yen takes Charlotte's hands and tells her that she is already a part of his family. Charlotte blushes intensely from embarrassment, and her head feels like it's on fire due to Yen's boldness in wanting her to be his wife. The scene transitions to a carriage where they are heading home, with the wolf walking alongside them. Another large creature, a bear-like being, apologizes to Yen for the trouble he caused and expresses the desire to become Charlotte's personal guardian. When Charlotte questions who he exactly is, he laughs briefly and informs her that he is a member of her family. Yen gets annoyed by his words and warns him not to assume himself as part of the family without Charlotte's consent. Now he must return to his garden. The scene shifts to when they finally reach their home. Charlotte informs Yen that she will go for a walk with the little wolf named Lu. Yen mutters to himself about how, after their journey to the Uno region, Lu joined their family, and Charlotte no longer cares for him as much as before. He then talks to the bear-like creature, who appears sad because Lu was taken away from him by Charlotte. In a moment of confusion, Yen asks him another question. How long will your stay here last, Josetsu? So Josetsu tells Yen that he is now a part of Charlotte's family because he loves her deeply and wishes to be with her. Yen's face turns red, and he is shocked to hear that Josetsu also loves Charlotte. Yen closes the journal in his hands and feels a profound sadness because he can't spend more time with Charlotte. He goes to the window and watches her playing with the little wolf. Despite his sadness, he is also happy because she can lead a normal life. Later, Charlotte sits beside Yen and expresses her desire to learn how to become a magical creature tamer. Yen is impressed by Charlotte's positive attitude, noting how she has matured since coming here. Yen agrees to teach her how to become a creature tamer, and Charlotte thanks him for this opportunity. The scene transitions to a morning where they are all sitting together. Yen tells us that since Charlotte started her training, he has discovered new aspects of her personality every day. Charlotte practices in the garden using her powers on the wolf. The wolf runs at full speed, leaps high into the air, and returns to her quickly, displaying remarkable agility. Yen is amazed that she mastered this skill, as he didn't believe anyone could communicate with the wolf in such a way. Josetsu provokes Yen with some words, revealing that he loves Charlotte. Yen becomes extremely angry, and Josetsu tells him to return to the garden. Yen, outraged, declares that he will never go back because this is his home now, and he is a member of the family. The scene shifts to Charlotte rewarding Lu with a large bone for his actions. Please note that translating creative content like this involves some interpretation, and the translated text may not capture all the nuances of the original narrative. Then Yen approaches Charlotte, wanting to put his hand on the wolf's head. However, the wolf is aggressive and wants to bite him. Charlotte scolds Yen, telling him never to touch anyone like that. Josetsu then speaks, stating that Charlotte has reached an advanced level of monster language conversation, which is a highly commendable achievement. Charlotte wonders how Josetsu can understand them and communicate with them. Josetsu explains that he learned by living with humans for a long time, acquiring knowledge of the human language. The scene shifts to Charlotte trying to create a spell for monster conversation, but she seems tired. Yen advises her not to force it, saying it's natural not to be able to use that type of spell at the moment. Meanwhile, Lu speaks in human language, telling Yen not to touch his mother. Yen and Charlotte are surprised and tired as Charlotte effortlessly used the spell. Josetsu speaks to Yen, praising Charlotte's exceptional abilities. The scene moves inside Yen's garden, specifically to a modest swimming pool. Yen tells Charlotte that it's a gift to celebrate her ability to speak to Lu. Lu thanks Yen for the big pool, and Yen instructs him to swim and enjoy the water. However, Josetsu intervenes, saying the pool is not for water pigs, but for wolves and humans. He declares himself a member of the family and wants to enjoy it just like everyone else. Lu then transforms into a girl, surprising everyone. They wonder how Lu can do that. Later, we see Charlotte playing in the swimming pool with Lu while Yen watches, happy that Charlotte is becoming more independent. Charlotte comes out of the pool and sits next to Yen, thanking him sincerely for everything he has done for her. So Yen tells Charlotte not to speak so formally, as he is very happy that she is with him now. He then talks to her about the previous owner of the villa who mysteriously disappeared. It seems that a strange pound coin was living here for more than 30 years, unsocial and avoiding the city. She seemed possessed and suddenly she vanished. Some say she jumped off a cliff after failing her experiments, while others claim that the monster she created consumed her and fungi took over her body. Charlotte is shocked and frightened by these rumors. Yen explains that due to these rumors, they were able to buy the palace at a very low price. Charlotte then notices the strange fungi in the water. Suddenly, a girl with white hair and glasses emerges, asking if they are the ones who stole her precious fungi. Charlotte is scared, thinking she might be a ghost, with Charlotte dreaming about her sister Natalia. While cleaning the palace, Charlotte is instructed by the servants to clean thoroughly. As she polishes the windows, she looks at her hands with a sad and weary expression. They're reddened from strenuous work. Determined to wash her hands, a maid interrupts and hits her on the shoulder, apologizing afterward. The others mock her, thinking she is foolish, as they don't believe she has any connection to their current lord. Charlotte reflects on the Evans family, mentioning that after her mother's death, she had nowhere else to go, so she must endure. Her sister Natalia appears and gives her some medicine. Charlotte thanks her, crying over her situation. Natalia asks if she has free time tonight, expressing a desire for Charlotte to read a book to her. However, Charlotte apologizes, unable to read any book tonight. Natalia is saddened, but asks for one more favor, to address her by name and not with any formal titles. Charlotte agrees, making Natalia very happy. The scene then shifts to a ship at sea, where Elaine and his sister Eroka are heading to their hometown. They are going to their parents. Charlotte wakes up, finding herself on the same ship with Elaine and Eroka. Confused, she gets out of bed to see what's happening. She remembers Eroka, Elaine's sister, and informs them that her sister Natalia is in great trouble. Charlotte is deeply saddened by her sister's plight, not knowing where she is or what she is doing. Elaine, who is nostalgic for his hometown, didn't expect to return so quickly. He asks out Natalia, wanting to know more. Eroka, Charlotte's non-biological sister, reveals that her name is Evans. She is Charlotte's stepsister, 10 years old, and the legitimate heir to the Evans family. Moreover, she is Charlotte's sole supporter in the kingdom of Narrows. At this time, Charlotte comes in, and Alan asks her if she had a good sleep. She tells him that she slept well thanks to his enchantments, making Alan very happy. However, he senses that there's something on Charlotte's mind. She informs him about her dream of her sister Natalia and asks him to tell her more about Natalia. Alan agrees, and the small funeral director and the Hellwater Pig come out to listen to Natalia's story. Seeing them, Erica is delighted that her brother is surrounded by livelier individuals in her absence. She informs them that her mother will be very happy to see them, indicating that her mother is knowledgeable about magical creatures. As they approach the town, Alan mentions that it's been 3 years since he last visited. Charlotte notices a black building and thinks it might be Alan's previous school, but he corrects her, saying it's the student's residence. She inquires about his school, and Alan reveals that the entire island is the Athens Academy of Magic. While walking around the island, Eroka explains that most people on the island are connected to the academy. except for a few tourists. Charlotte asks about her sister Natalia, and Erica confirms that she is on the island but alone. Upon reaching the house, Alan is shocked and reluctant to return. Charlotte is excited to meet Alan's parents and prepares mentally to welcome them. Erica advises Charlotte not to be afraid or tense, stating that it's her brother Alan who should be. Charlotte doesn't understand, unaware of what happened to keep Alan away from home all these years. Erica explains that 3 years ago, after a heated argument with their father, Alan left the school without telling anyone and left home. This troubles Alan, who doesn't want to hear this story, considering it unimportant. However, Erica adds that people on the island still talk about the intense magical battle between two skilled sorcerers, which led to Alan leaving home. Charlotte becomes anxious, but Erica reassures her, saying she'll show her the other side of the island later, where the destruction caused by the battle remains. Eager to see it, Charlotte expresses her excitement, but Alan asks her not to get too excited as it's just a scarred land with nothing worth seeing. Then everyone strolls around the island, and the Hell Water Pig talks to Alan about how, despite the significant dispute with his parents, he surrendered to visiting them for the sake of his beloved. He teases Alan about the dramatic story, which angers Alan, prompting him to ask him not to talk about it that way. Alan then explains that his relationship with his uncle is good as they have been communicating through mail. The fenrir and the Hell Water Pig don't understand, so Alan informs them that he was orphaned at a young age, taken in by the Crawford family, Erica's adoptive family. Charlotte, feeling jealousy, asks why Alan's family did this. He reassures her that he never left her and will always help her. Charlotte believes that her transformation into a wanted girl has caused trouble for her sister Natalia. However, Alan tells her that the charges against her were fabricated, confident that her sister will understand. He reassures her not to worry, as he will always help her. The fenrir and Hell Water Pig also offer their assistance, and Charlotte expresses her gratitude for their willingness to help her and her sister. Later, two people are seen arguing, and Albin mentions that conflicts on the island never end. He recalls daily fights but remains unworried, knowing what will happen. Suddenly, their father, heading towards the dispute, intervenes and tries to talk to them. Despite their refusal, he freezes them with his power. Charlotte is thrilled by this, as it seems the man is a seasoned magician. The monster remarks that Alan seems like a great sorcerer. Hearing this, a man rushes over to them and speaks to Alan, expressing joy at seeing him after a long time and thanking Erica for helping him. He then notices Charlotte and, introducing himself, reveals that he is Alan's father, leaving Charlotte astonished. The scene transitions to the palace, where they engage in conversation, to Elaine's sister spying on them. The next morning, Elaine tries another spell, changing Charlotte's appearance into a girl with black hair and large glasses. They go out into the city, and Natalia, the girl with yellow hair, displays remarkable abilities, summoning ferocious fish ready for battle. When asked about Elaine's identity, he introduces himself as a temporary substitute teacher. Natalia inquires about his relationship with the principal, and the fish, shocked, reveal that everyone fears Elaine as the most troublesome boy in the Academy's history. As Elaine recounts defeating teachers and students in the blink of an eye after their opposition. He claims to have crushed an entire mountain during a 3-day battle with the principal. They talk in unison about him being the Demon King. When asked about the girl, Elaine identifies her as Charlotte's personal assistant. Natalia greets them on Elaine's request. When Elaine suggests becoming her guide, Natalia rejects the idea, stating she doesn't need a personal guide. She asks him to leave her alone and not speak to her at all. Then her friends persuaded her to leave that place, and everyone hurriedly followed her, terrified of Elaine, the Lord of Demons. Elaine is shocked by this reaction, but somewhat expected something like this in their first encounter. Afterward, he talks to Charlotte and asks her opinion on what happened. He finds her very sad, unable to believe that she could talk to her sister. However, she's happy that she acted bravely in front of Natalia. Elaine explains that even though what happened isn't a conversation between Charlotte and her sister Natalia, he is also glad that she acted that way because things will surpass mere dialogue. Charlotte doesn't fully understand his words, so Elaine tells her that they will get closer to each other. They will wander together, eat together, and possibly argue, but eventually become closer. When Charlotte hears this, she becomes very sad about what happened to her and her sister. Later, we see Natalia in her class attending a lecture. Elaine and Charlotte come to sit beside her and they greet her. However, Natalia doesn't respond. Elaine looks at what the teacher is writing on the board and finds it's about the enthusiasm for applying magical elements. He asks Natalia if she can comprehend all of this, but she doesn't answer him. Then she raises her hand and tells her teacher that the formula he's writing is incorrect. If they use electrical magic in that part, the power will increase. The teacher looks at the board and realizes she's right. He apologizes to her and explains that one's concentration decreases with age. Charlotte, in a teasing manner, talks to her sister Natalia, even though she doesn't understand much of what she says. Natalia informs her that she won't understand because she's just assisting the Lord of Demons. Charlotte apologizes to her, but Elaine tells her that she's his new assistant, learning the basics of magic while they work on this task. She may be inexperienced, but she'll do her best to learn magic. Elaine then suggests to Charlotte that this is the perfect opportunity to ask Natalia to teach her some lesson. However, Natalia refuses because she is Elaine's assistant, not Charlotte's teacher. Charlotte speaks up, agreeing with Natalia that they shouldn't bother her. Still, if her schedule allows, she would appreciate Natalia teaching her. If she agrees, Charlotte would be overjoyed. Natalia is surprised by Charlotte's response. Charlotte assures her that she'll make an effort not to disturb her during the lessons. Natalia considers it and agrees, stating that she can do it during the lecture. After the lecture, Charlotte thanks Natalia for the lesson. Natalia tells her there's no need to thank her and asks why Charlotte wants to study magic. Charlotte explains that Elaine has protected her and her friends so much, and she feels she should repay their kindness. She wants to become strong to face anything. Therefore, she decides to practice the lightning magic Natalia demonstrated during the lecture. Natalia warns her that it's a complex spell but offers to help if Charlotte feels confused. Charlotte expresses her gratitude. At that moment, Goatsy and Ro, friends of Elaine, arrive, surprising him. They inform him that his mother sent lunch with them, and Charlotte plays with them. Natalia, Elaine, and Charlotte sit in the break area. Natalia expresses astonishment when she realizes that Elaine, with his magical creatures, is a rare and powerful mage. She thought he was just a tamer of magical beings. Charlotte explains that Goatsy and Ro are incredibly powerful. As Natalia eats a very light meal, Charlotte insists that she should have at least some salad. She goes to prepare it, surprising Natalia. Charlotte explains that she has a younger sister around Natalia's age, and she might see her through Natalia. Natalia is pleased by this connection. Elaine mentions that her family, the Evans, sent us. Elaine responds to Natalia, stating that it's not the case. Natalia explains that she pursued magic for her own reasons and doesn't like the nobility for being selfish and deceptive despite their noble appearance. When Elaine asks if she studies magic to escape her family, she tells him that it's one of the reasons. If she can use magic, she can do most things on her own and defend herself without relying on others. Elaine mentions reading about her sister, Charlotte, in the newspaper, but she is currently disguised as another girl to remain unknown to Natalia. Natalia becomes furious, and her face turns dark. She sternly tells Elaine not to discuss this matter in front of her again. Elaine apologizes for upsetting her and reflects that it's fortunate Charlotte wasn't present to hear that. At this moment, a boy with blue hair named Krux enters. When Natalia asks about his intentions, he says he came to exchange greetings. It appears Natalia excelled in the other class. Krux informs her not to be arrogant as her reign will end soon. Uninterested, Natalia tells him to schedule a fight if he wants one, but she's not interested in his affairs. Krux leaves with his group. Elaine comments that Krux is a good friend, angering Natalia. She questions what's good about him, describing him as mean and nasty. As she speaks, Charlotte accidentally drops a dish. She apologizes and offers to clean it immediately. However, it seems like a setup, and Natalia becomes furious. She confronts the group and delivers harsh blows, defending herself. When Krux asks how she dares attack them, Natalia explains that it's a lesson in manners on behalf of Elaine, teaching them values like manhood and ethics. She advises Krux to thank her for the lesson. They raise their hands against their master, an act that is unforgivable. It is neither chivalrous nor manly to strike girls, civilians, or innocent people. Elaine questions Krux if he is Israeli, comparing him to the Israeli military's actions against civilians, children, elders, and women, emphasizing that such behavior is unacceptable. He then advises Krux not to forget to schedule a fight, as Natalia assures that she will defeat him there and then. Natalia, overwhelmed with anger, is comforted by Elaine, who advises against causing a scene in that place. She expresses her anger for Charlotte being harmed, but reassures them that Charlotte is okay. Valen's expression changes significantly, and he tells Natalia that he never said he would forgive them. Instead, he plans to hurt them severely, showing no mercy. Natalia, frightened, begs him not to, but Elaine uses a space barrier to isolate them from the outside world. The boys attack Elaine swiftly, but he calmly tells them to remember 3 things during the fight. He swiftly defeats them, then raises his index finger, advising Natalia to always close her opponent's escape route, restrain them with chains, and most importantly, shatter their spirits completely to prevent them from opposing her again, as Elaine demonstrates by creating a large fireball, instilling fear in the enemies. Charlotte uses her power, exploding the fireball before Elaine kills them, stating that they are merciful and not terrorists. The scene shifts after the battle. Charlotte thanks them for defending her, but warns against excessive violence. Natalia, grateful for their anger on her behalf, suggests forgiveness when possible, but Elaine finds it difficult. Next, Natalia faces off against Elaine. Despite the danger, she assures him that she has sufficient abilities to fight the enemy, even if outnumbered. She apologizes to Charlotte, and the scene transitions to Charlotte manipulating a wolf and a wild boar while Elaine reflects on the lesson Charlotte taught the enemies, one they won't forget. Also, he discovered that she possesses enchantment abilities. When she stopped him, her power was exceptionally high, and this experience will undoubtedly give her more confidence. Elaine was immersed in his deep thoughts, and Natalia noticed, asking him why he smiles, calling him a fool. Elaine, lost in his own thoughts, looks at her and tells her not to concern herself, as he is always immersed in his dreams and endless aspirations. Natalia tells Elaine that she wants to become stronger than before. She desires to refine her skills and train more and more to become stronger as quickly as possible. People like the boy Chris are suitable targets for training, but they never know when to give up, making them annoying. Elaine tells Natalia that he understands her problem, and there is only one thing she can do. He suggests deceiving the academy and becoming its ruler, leaving Natalia astonished. Elaine then explains that she should not let them dictate her pace. The scene shifts to Natalia asking the Lord of Demons about his feelings towards Charlotte. The Lord of Demons responds, and they discuss the danger and the truth about the damas found in the eastern part of the city. The episode concludes with a teaser for the next exciting episode, where the Lord of Demons' response is awaited, along with the exploration of the mysterious damas in the eastern part of the city. The viewers are encouraged to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell for upcoming episodes. In a highly suspenseful episode, the excitement reaches its peak when a monstrous chimera emerges, threatening to kill Natalia, Charlotte's sister. The audience is left on the edge of their seats, eager to know what Natalia did and what will happen next. Will Charlotte reveal her true identity? Stay tuned for the conclusion, and watch the full summary to uncover all the details. Our episode begins with Elaine and Charlotte in a large hall, interrupted by Erikasan, who is searching for Elaine everywhere. She greets them, accompanied by a third girl named Natalia, Charlotte's sister. However, Natalia is unaware of Charlotte's true identity as she is in disguise. Erikasan reveals herself to be Elaine's sister, and Natalia warmly welcomes her. Natalia then inquires about Erikasan's strength, wondering if it matches Elaine's. Erikasan admits that she isn't as powerful as her brother. The group discusses their knowledge of the academy and how to overcome its challenges. Elaine playfully suggests that Natalia must first defeat all her enemies in the academy to prove her abilities. He proposes challenging the leader of the enemies in a field where Natalia excels, emphasizing the significance of the emblem behind D-Maze. Whoever brings back that emblem will be the winner. Natalia hesitates, wanting allies for victory. Elaine then offers to teach her secret tricks, specifically for critical situations, as they are against the rules. Natalia agrees, and Elaine assures her that she is exceptional and will undoubtedly succeed. They share a sinister laugh, leaving Erikasan bewildered and admonishing her brother for leading Natalia astray. Erikasan scolds Elaine for guiding Natalia towards mischief, while Charlotte trembles, fearful of Elaine turning her sister into a mischievous and wicked girl. Later, the scene shifts to the boy Chris, who is very upset about Natalia defeating him with a sinister victory that was not shown when she defeated him. He leaves in anger. Meanwhile, Elaine is astonished by Natalia's prowess, not expecting her to defeat him with a 30-minute difference. The entire group expresses gratitude for her exceptional skills. Natalia then points to the emblem behind Dima's, warning that entering the arena is prohibited. The emblem is secured with a large chain and completely locked. She explains that it is the breeding season for Dimas, and the leader is highly agitated, not wanting anyone to witness the process. The scene transitions to Mr. Fish, Mr. Dragon, and Mr. Wolf congratulating Natalia on her recent challenge. They inform her that Mr. Dragon and Mr. Fish dealt with those who tried to stop them from traveling, one with a powerful blow and the other by breaking his teeth. Mr. Wolf reveals he threw the person who robbed his friend into the sea. Natalia joyfully welcomes them, praising their actions. The emotional moment brings tears to everyone's eyes. Suddenly, a teacher named Juiced, accompanied by a large wolf, approaches from behind, holding. She informs them that the break is over and now it's time to run around the island. The group is reminded to work hard so as not to be a burden on Natalia. They all set off and the wolf expresses its desire to play the chase game. The scene then shifts to Elaine talking to Natalia, cautioning her about Juiced, who prefers to be addressed as a teacher. He also warns her not to let his title, Lord of the Demons, get to his head. Natalia, holding her stomach, seems hungry. Suddenly, a loud noise is heard and a colossal monster appears, terrifying them. Natalia reveals that it's the D-Maze leader, causing them to hastily retreat. After escaping, Natalia and Chris discuss the difficulty she faced when he tried to flee. Chris admits his fear, but explains that his body moved on its own upon seeing her. Natalia suggests dealing with the chimera they encountered using their magic. However, a cold object falls on Chris's head, and when they look up, they find the monster. Chris tells Natalia to run, taking responsibility for involving her in this situation. He plans to use his magic to deal with the chimera. Then Chris uses his magic on the monster, allowing Natalia to escape. However, another monster appears, and rocks fall on Chris. Natalia manages to flee, but the second monster attacks her with its magic, sending her flying. The monster approaches her, ready to strike, when Charlotte appears just in time to rescue her. The monster retreats in fear. Charlotte goes to check on Natalia to ensure she's okay. Natalia mentions a minor injury on her leg. Charlotte reassures her that she'll provide suitable treatment after they leave the area. Natalia insists they can't move until Chris wakes up. Concerned, Natalia asks if the spell Charlotte used earlier is the one she taught her. Charlotte confirms it and mentions that magical beings usually either succumb or flee, but she comforts Natalia, saying the magical creature has escaped. Natalia expresses doubt about easily defeating such magical beings, but Charlotte explains that magical creatures like that are usually not easily defeated. Natalia questions why Charlotte came to this dangerous place when she asked her to wait. Charlotte replies that she was worried about her, because despite her powerful magic, Natalia is still a little child, and it's not suitable for her to go to dangerous places alone. Natalia apologizes for causing trouble, but she points out that she retrieved the suitcase herself. The scene shifts to Alan running quickly towards the cave, saying, "In this Dimas, there's a magical being in the egg-laying stage called Salamander. It must not wake up," by a loud noise and trembling ground. Suddenly, they realize that the colossal monster, the killer Salamander, leader of the Dimas, is approaching. It roars loudly, confirming their fears. Then we see Chris running frantically, visibly scared. Charlotte informs them that she will intercept the creature, urging them to summon Yen. However, they warn her that the creature is extremely dangerous and she cannot face it alone. When Chris tries to pull Natalie away, she insists on staying and fighting alongside Charlotte. Charlotte then uses a powerful spell on the monster to divert its attention, allowing them to escape. However, the creature retaliates, unleashing a massive fireball that hits Charlotte. We see Charlotte wounded on the ground, but she quickly returns to her normal state, surprising Natalie that this is her sister. The creature aims another, even more powerful fireball, but Yen arrives just in time to deflect the attack. Yen, infuriated by the harm inflicted on Charlotte, unleashes a tremendous surge of energy, causing the entire area to tremble as if in a powerful earthquake. The scene shifts to Yen's sister, astonished by the incredible power. Yen's father, with Yen, hopes that the school building remains intact. The scene transitions again to Yen, who bizarrely tames the salamander. Yen starts playing with it, surprising everyone. During this time, the magical creatures teacher, Liz, enters and observes Yen's behavior. Natalie consults Liz about the peculiar behavior of the salamander, and Liz explains that Yen has been caring for it since it was small. Charlotte confirms Yen's statement, stating that he saved her life and currently, he is the dearest person. Feeling embarrassed, Yen thanks them for their kind words. Suddenly, Gustavo, Leo, and others, including Chris, approach them and suggest that Yen and Charlotte are in a love story. Both deny the claim, but Gustavo playfully insists on the romantic connection between them. Out of nowhere, Natalie uses her powers and shouts at Yen, accusing him of being the reason she couldn't locate her sister using her magic. She confronts Yen, alleging that he got close to her to deceive her. Unsure of what he did to her dear sister, Alan tries to explain the misunderstanding, but Natalie refuses to listen, convinced that he manipulated her. In an attempt to escape, Alan runs away with Natalie in pursuit. Charlotte tries to stop her, but she can't. Amidst the chaos, Gustavo intervenes and suggests that since they are all together now, they should go enjoy a delicious meal. Chris chimes in, expressing his desire to treat them to dinner as compensation for the trouble caused. Later, we see Alan's father talking to his wife and daughter. He admits that he initially thought Alan and Charlotte's relationship was fake, but now acknowledges their genuine feelings for each other. They decide to observe them until they are ready to openly share their emotions. The scene then shifts to Natalie again, screaming at Alan that she will end him right there. Alan tries to escape, but he doesn't know how. The story then takes Charlotte and Alan outside the house, where they encounter a romantic scene with illuminated lights on the ground. Then he offers her a delicious drink, and Charlotte is overjoyed by the exquisite aroma. The drink turns out to be hot cocoa, allowing them to enjoy the sight of the stars while sipping on it. Charlotte comments on how mischievous and wonderful this nighttime activity is, and Alan agrees. Charlotte is surprised when Alan mentions his limited knowledge about stars, confessing that he understands the magical energy of star positions, but not much about constellations and myths. Charlotte points at a bright yellow star, identifying it as the center of the Spider constellation, and mentions the Hell Pig constellation to its right. Suddenly, a shooting star streaks across the sky, and in the process, Alan accidentally touches Charlotte's hand. He becomes embarrassed, but Charlotte takes his hands, expressing her openness to such gestures, making Alan very happy. They continue to stargaze and engage in enjoyable banter. Charlotte thanks Alan for everything he's done for her and for the delightful mischief. Alan, in return, reminds her of his promise to teach her all kinds of mischief in this world. Charlotte clarifies that her excitement is not just about mischief. Lately, she looks forward to the mornings to see what pleasant surprises await her. She expresses gratitude for meeting Alan. In a highly romantic atmosphere, Alan requests Charlotte to cover herself well to avoid the cold. Charlotte appreciates his concern and care for her. In this intimate setting, Alan approaches Charlotte, creating a very romantic ambiance. However, suddenly Alan becomes extremely angry and exclaims, "I know you're there." Indeed, the hidden girls are revealed, and as expected, they tease and flirt, attributing the excitement between Charlotte and Alan to the thrilling atmosphere that made them forget the cold night. All the animals reappear, and Natalie, Charlotte's sister, also joins them, teasingly calling Charlotte the water pig after witnessing the scene with Alan. Charlotte, under the beautiful starry night, expresses words of love, acknowledging Alan's clever scheme. The owner of the house, the writer, also emerges, having witnessed everything. She tells them that she saw it all and questions why they are still holding hands. Charlotte tries to justify, and the journalist challenges them, asking why they're still holding hands. Charlotte's sister becomes infuriated, declaring her intent to cut off Alan's hand to free her sister. And the superior, who represents the kingdom of Neros, orders the immediate capture of Charlotte, saying to wait for Charlotte. Is this person the ruler of the kingdom of Neros? And why do they want to capture Charlotte? To find out, stay tuned for the next episode, and we encourage you to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell for updates.